The door creaked open like a confession long overdue, and there she stood, Anastasia, her blue eyes shattered glass under the dim hallway light, whispering my name like it was the only word left in her crumbling world. "Amira, I can't do this without you anymore," she said, her voice cracking on the edge of a sob that pulled me forward before I could think to run. In that instant, as our fingers brushed and the scent of salt air from the open window wrapped around us like a ghost of summers past, I knew I'd crossed back into the storm we'd barely escaped. Spain had always been our unraveling and our anchor, the jagged cliffs of Tarifa where we'd first kissed under a sky bruised with storm clouds, the narrow cobblestone streets of Cadiz that echoed with our laughter before it turned to silence. 5 months ago, I'd fled this place, this woman, after discovering the letters tucked in her nightstand drawer. Words from her ex-lover scrawled in elegant script, promising a future she'd never mentioned to me. Betrayal isn't a single stab. It's a slow bleed, and Anastasia's had left me hollow, wandering the sun-baked alleys of Seville like a shadow of myself. But now, her text had come at midnight. "Come to the house. Please. It's about Elena. Elena. My little sister, the fragile thread binding us still, fighting her way through chemo in a Barcelona hospital while we pretended our world hadn't ended." I stepped inside, the door clicking shut behind me like a verdict. The apartment hadn't changed. Terracotta tiles cool under my boots, whitewashed walls adorned with faded Polaroids of us, grinning at the feria in Jerez, arms linked on the beach at Zahara de los Aitons. Anastasia hovered there, twisting a strand of her auburn hair. Her sundress rumpled as if she'd been pacing for hours. At 30, she still carried that effortless grace, the kind that made tourists in the Mercado double-take. But tonight her cheeks were hollowed, shadows pooling under her eyes like ink stains. "She's stable," Anastasia said quickly, reading the panic in my face. "The doctors called this afternoon. No more spots on the scan. But, God, Amira, I thought I'd lost you both." Her words hung heavy, laced with the guilt we'd both been marinating in. Elena's diagnosis had hit like a rogue wave 2 years back. Stage 3 lymphoma, the kind that creeps in silent and strikes without mercy. We'd rallied then, Anastasia and I, turning our fledgling graphic design studio into a makeshift command center, juggling client deadlines with midnight drives to the clinic. It was in those fluorescent-lit waiting rooms that our friendship had ignited into something fiercer, stolen kisses in the stairwell, whispers of forever amid the beeps of monitors. But love in crisis is a fragile thing. When Elena went into remission last spring, the relief cracked open old wounds. Anastasia's past, the one she'd buried under layers of charm and sangria-fueled confessions, resurfaced. Her ex, Sofia, a painter from Madrid with a reputation for leaving masterpieces in her wake, had written those letters. Not recent flings, Anastasia swore, but echoes from a decade ago, resurfacing when Sofia's gallery show hit the papers. I'd found them while hunting for Elena's medical files, my hands shaking as I pieced together a narrative that painted me as the rebound, the convenient savior. "You didn't have to come," Anastasia murmured now, leading me to the kitchen where a bottle of Rioja sat half empty on the counter, 2 glasses waiting like reluctant witnesses. "I know I don't deserve it." I sank onto a stool, the wood groaning under me, and poured us both a measure. The wine was tart, grounding like the first rain after a drought. "Elena's text said you were falling apart. Showing up drunk to the studio, missing deadlines. What the hell, Stasia? We're supposed to be professionals now." She winced at the nickname, the one I'd given her on our first trip to the Costa de la Luz, when she tripped into the surf and emerged laughing, seaweed in her hair. "Professionals," she echoed bitterly, sliding onto the stool opposite me. "Is that what we are? After everything?" The air thickened, charged with the unsaid. 5 months of radio silence, of me crashing on friends' couches in Granada, rebuilding my portfolio brick by freelance brick, while Anastasia stayed here, in the apartment we bought together with dreams of expanding the business. Our studio, Sol y Sombra Designs, had been our baby. Logos for local wineries, murals for beachside host Alesh. But betrayal had poisoned it. I'd walked away, leaving her to handle the clients alone, our shared vision fractured. "Tell me about Elena first," I said, steering us to safer waters. My sister at 24 had always been the firecracker, tattoos snaking up her arms, a laugh that could shatter tension like cheap glass. Cancer had dimmed her but not broken her. She texted me last week from her hospital bed. A selfie with a bald head and a thumbs up, caption beat the beast. Now fix your heart, sis. She'd adored Anastasia, called her, the one who makes Amira smile like she means it. Anastasia's face softened, a flicker of the old warmth breaking through. She's talking about coming home for Christmas. Wants to host a party on the roof, string lights and all that kitschy flamenco nonsense. She reached across the counter, her fingers hovering near mine, then retreating. She asked about you. Said she misses her desert rose bodyguard. That was me, Amira Khalil, daughter of Moroccan immigrants who'd washed up in Malaga like so many before us, tough exterior hiding a heart that bruised too easily. We talked for an hour, the wine loosening knots we'd both tied too tight. Stories of Elena's latest antics, smuggling tapas into her room, charming the nurses with her guitar, wove us back toward familiarity. But as the clock ticked past 1, the undercurrent shifted. Anastasia set her glass down, her gaze locking onto mine with that intensity that had first drawn me in. Back when we'd met at a design conference in Barcelona. Two wide-eyed freelancers bonding over bad coffee and shared cynicism. I owe you the truth, she said, her voice steady now, forged in the fire of rehearsal. Those letters from Sophia. They weren't what you thought. She reached out after seeing our feature in that design mag, the one with the Tarifa mural. Wanted to collaborate, said it was for old times' sake. I told her no, but she kept writing poetic bullshit about second chances. I kept them because, I don't know, nostalgia? Proof I'd moved on? It was stupid, Amira. Selfish. I leaned back, the counter digging into my spine. Stupid doesn't cover it. You hid them like secrets, Stasia. Made me feel like I was the placeholder while you pined for your muse. Her eyes welled, but she didn't look away. You're not a placeholder. You're the one who saw me. The mess after my parents cut me off for coming out. The girl who faked confidence in boardrooms while crumbling inside. You and Elena. You made me whole. She stood then, rounding the counter, close enough that I could see the faint freckles across her nose, the ones that bloomed like stars in summer sun. My resolve cracked. Why now? Why invite me back when Elena's finally okay? Because losing you broke me more than any letter ever could. Her hand found my cheek, thumb tracing the line of my jaw, and in that touch the dam burst. I pulled her in, our lips meeting soft and tentative, tasting of wine and regret, the kiss deepening into something raw, a reclamation. Not fire but embers reigniting. Lips brushing collarbones, fingers threading through hair, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. We moved to the bedroom without words, the sheets cool against fevered skin, shedding clothes like old skins. It was tender, exploratory, her tracing the curve of my hip, me memorizing the dip of her waist. Each touch a apology, each sigh of forgiveness. Dawn crept in through the shutters, painting us in stripes of gold, and for those hours the world narrowed to us. Anastasia's whispers in my ear, promises murmured against my neck, my hands mapping the landscape I'd once called home. But morning brought the reckoning. As we lay tangled, coffee brewing in the kitchen, my phone buzzed. A call from Elena. Sis? You with her? Don't screw this up again. Her voice was weak but teasing, the sound of it twisting something deep in my chest. I glanced at Anastasia, asleep beside me, her face peaceful in repose. I won't, I whispered, but doubt flickered. Trust isn't rebuilt in a night. It's a slow stitch over a gaping wound. The days blurred into a fragile truce. We dove back into the studio, pitching concepts for a new client. A boutique hotel in Ronda with views that stole your breath. Anastasia's sketches came alive under my color palettes, our synergy crackling like it had in the beginning. Evenings we'd wander the Alameda Apodaca, paella steaming from street vendors, her arm looped through mine as if the break had been a dream. Elena's discharge papers arrived midweek, and we drove to Barcelona together, the highway unspooling like a ribbon through olive groves. At the hospital, Elena enveloped us both in a hug that smelled of antiseptic and hope, her head now fuzzing with new growth. About time you two idiots figured it out, she rasped, her eyes sparkling. We spent the afternoon in her room, Anastasia strumming Elena's guitar while I sketched caricatures, Elena as a flamenco queen, us as her hapless courtiers. It felt like family, the kind pieced together from fragments, stronger for the cracks. Yet shadows lingered. One night, back in Cadiz, I found Anastasia on the balcony, staring at the Atlantic's restless churn. Sophia called today, she said quietly, not turning. Wants to meet. Says it's business, a joint exhibit. My stomach nodded, the old bleed starting anew. And I said no. She faced me then, moonlight carving her features sharp. But it made me realize. I have to let you see everything. No more hiding. She pulled a box from behind the planter. More letters, journals, photos from her life before me. Burn them with me? On the beach tomorrow. It was a ritual, cathartic and American in its drama. 2 women in the sand at Sahara, flames licking paper under a canopy of stars, the sea roaring approval. As the ashes scattered on the tide, Anastasia kissed me fiercely, salt on her lips. You're my now, Amira. My always. For a while it held. The studio thrived. We landed the Rhonda gig. Our designs splashed across mock-ups of sun-drenched patios. Elena moved in with us temporarily, her energy a whirlwind. Teaching Anastasia Arabic curses, dragging us to underground poetry slams in the old town. Love bloomed quiet. Lazy mornings with café con leche in bed. Her head on my shoulder during movie nights. The way she'd hum old jazz tunes while I cooked tagine. But betrayal once sown roots deep. It came on a sweltering August afternoon, the kind where the siesta feels like surrender. I'd run to the mercado for fresh figs, returning early to surprise Anastasia with lunch. The studio door was ajar, voices spilling out, low, intimate. Sophia's laugh, that throaty timbre I'd only heard in stories, mingled with Anastasia's. I froze in the threshold, unseen. They stood close over the drafting table, Sophia's hand on Anastasia's arm, gesturing to a sketch. This is brilliant, Anna. We could do something together, your lines, my colors. Like old times. Anastasia pulled back, but not fast enough. Sophia, I told you. Come on. 1 coffee. For inspiration. Sophia's eyes, dark and persuasive, held hers a beat too long. My world tilted. Not the letters, not the call. This was the pull, the unfinished symphony Anastasia had sworn was silent. I backed away, figs tumbling from the bag, fleeing to the car where I sat shaking, tears blurring the windshield. That night, confrontation brewed like a storm over the strait. Anastasia came home to find me packing. Clothes shoved into a duffel, sketches rolled under my arm. Amira? What's wrong? I thrust my phone at her, the voice memo I'd recorded outside the studio playing back their words, tinny and damning. Her face drained of color. It wasn't God, Amira, she cornered me. I was going to tell her no firmly. But you didn't. My voice was steel, honed by too many near misses. You let her touch you, let her talk about old times. How many times, Stasia? How many almosts before I walk for good? She reached for me, desperate. I love you. Only you. Sophia's a ghost. Ghosts haunt because we invite them in. I zipped the bag, the sound final. Elena's door creaked open down the hall. She emerged, eyes wide, sensing the fracture. Amira, wait. Anastasia's plea broke. But I was already at the door, the same one that had welcomed me back months ago. Outside, the night air was thick with jasmine, the distant crash of waves a mocking lullaby. I drove aimlessly, ending up at the cliffs of Tarifa, where wind turbines spun like futile prayers against the horizon. Hours passed, my phone silent. No calls, no texts. Dawn broke, painting the sea in pinks and golds, and with it came clarity. Betrayal wasn't just hers. It was mine too. In clinging to a love that demanded perfection. I returned at noon, the apartment hushed. Elena met me in the kitchen, her embrace fierce. She hasn't slept. Told me everything. How she sent Sophia away, blocked her, but knew you'd hear it wrong. Anastasia was on the couch, knees to chest, eyes red-rimmed. I messed up, she whispered as I sat beside her. Not with Sophia, with you. I should have shut it down instantly, trusted our foundation enough to stand firm. Words failed, actions spoke. I took her hand, threading our fingers. We both did. But Elena. She needs us whole. And I need to believe we're worth the rebuild. The climax came not in fury but in fragility. A group therapy session Elena dragged us to in Seville, part of her post-remission program. Stranger stories of loss and love spilled out, mirrors to our own. A woman abandoned mid-treatment. Another rebuilding after infidelity. Anastasia spoke first, voice trembling. I betrayed the woman who saved me because I feared I wasn't enough. I followed, admitting my flight instinct, the walls I'd built from my parents' disapproval, their whispers of not natural still echoing. In that circle under harsh lights and shared Kleenex we stripped bare. Not bodies but souls. Tears flowed, hugs exchanged with near strangers, and in the drive home silence gave way to plans. Couples counseling in the old quarter, boundaries drawn like new blueprints. Fall deepened, leaves turning amber on the sycamores lining the Guadalquivir. Elena's strength returned. She started classes at the university, her art major sketches rivaling ours. The studio expanded, we hired a junior designer. A quiet queer kid from Córdoba who saw the magic in our partnership. One evening as rain pattered the roof, Anastasia and I stood on the balcony, arms around each other. "Remember the first time?" she murmured, nodding to the Polaroid pinned nearby. Us soaked from a downpour, kissing in the street. Like yesterday. I turned to her, cupping her face. And every day since. Our kiss was slow, sealing not passion but promise, the kind forged in fire tempered by flood. Betrayal had scarred us, but in its wake grew something human. Forgiveness not as erasure but as choice. Daily, deliberately. Elena caught us later, smirking from the doorway. "About damn time. Now who's cooking? I'm starving for real food. Not this mushy romance crap." Laughter bubbled up, light and free, binding us tighter. In Spain's embrace, its sun-scorched days and starlit nights, we'd found not perfection but persistence. Love, it turns out, isn't the absence of storm. It's dancing in the rain, hand in hand, regretting nothing. The rhythm of reconciliation was tentative at first, like learning to walk after a sprain. Each step a test, each glance a gauge of steadiness. Counseling became our anchor, twice weekly in a sunlit office overlooking the Plaza de las Flores, where jasmine vines climbed the walls like hopeful fingers. Dr. Reyes, a no-nonsense therapist with silver streaks in her bob and a voice like aged sherry, didn't coddle. "Trust is a verb, not a noun," she'd say, her pen tapping a metronome to our halting confessions. Anastasia would fidget, twisting her rings, the simple gold band we'd exchanged in a quiet civil ceremony at the Ayuntamiento, witnessed by Elena and a handful of friends, while I stared at the floor, tracing patterns in the Persian rug. One session she laid it bare. "I grew up in a house where love was conditional. My father, the banker from Valencia, saw my queerness as a phase to outgrow. Sophia was my rebellion, wild, unapologetic. When she left for Berlin, I armored up. Hid parts of myself, even from you, Amira, because what if you saw the cracks and walked?" I squeezed her hand, the leather armchair creaking under us. "And I? I came from a family where love meant survival. Mama fleeing Casablanca's markets with me bundled in her hijab, Papa welding ships in the Gibraltar yard till his hands bled. They accepted me eventually, blessings over iftar, quiet nods at pride parades, but the fear lingers. Betrayal feels like confirmation. I'm too much or not enough." Dr. Reyes nodded, her eyes kind but probing. "So you both build walls. Now dismantle them together. Homework. Share one vulnerability weekly. No judgment." That night, over gazpacho chilled with mint from our window box, Anastasia went first. "I dream of Elena's funeral sometimes. Not the illness, the what-ifs if we'd lost her. Waking up, I reach for you, terrified you're gone too." Her words pierced, evoking the sterile hospital scent. The vigil we'd kept through Elena's fevered nights. "I dream of you leaving," I admitted, voice thick. "Packing for Madrid, Sophia's shadow at your side. But then I remember the feria. Your hand in mine, spinning under lanterns till we collapsed laughing. We cried then, not the wrenching sobs of fracture, but soft releases, watering the roots of something new." Elena, eavesdropping from her room, she denied it later, the sneak, emerged with gelato from the corner shop, 3 spoons and a grin. "Therapy tears? Pass the chocolate. Life's too short for vanilla emotions." Her humor was our lifeline. A reminder that family isn't blood alone, but chosen battles. With Elena's scans clear and her energy surging, we planned a road trip. A circuit of Andalusia's white villages, sketching inspirations for the studio's next big pitch. A queer-owned vineyard in Arcos de la Frontera seeking rebranding. The vineyard, Vina Arcilla, was run by a couple in their 50s, Maria and Lucia, who'd weathered Franco's shadows and built a legacy in Tempranillo Rose. Their story mirrored ours, endurance laced with joy, and pitching to them felt like coming home. We loaded the old Renault with sketchpads, a cooler of Jamon sandwiches, and Elena's playlist blasting Rosalia and Bad Bunny. The drive to Rhonda was a revelation. Hairpin turns hugging sheer drops, vultures wheeling overhead like punctuation to our banter. Anastasia drove, her profile sharp against the Sierra's haze, while Elena shotgunned trivia about Moorish bridges. I sketched from the back, capturing the cork oak's twisted grace, Anastasia's profile in profile. At the vineyard, Maria greeted us with hugs and manzanilla, her laugh booming across the terrace. "We've seen storms, chicas. Yours will pass if you let the sun in." Over lunch, grilled sardines and aioli, Lucia shared sketches from their early days, rough lines echoing our own. We walked the vines that afternoon, Anastasia's ideas flowing. Labels evoking hidden embraces, a logo of intertwined tendrils. By sunset, with Elena napping in a hammock, Maria pulled us aside. "Love isn't flawless pottery. It's the mending with gold kintsugi. Makes it stronger." Back in Cadiz, the pitch landed like a well-aimed castanet snap. Vina Arcilla signed on, their excitement fueling a late-night celebration at La Cava, the dive bar where we'd first slow danced to Fado covers. Bodies pressed close in the humid haze, but our corner was sanctuary. Anastasia's head on my shoulder, Elena flirting harmlessly with the bartender. "To us," Anastasia toasted with her gin tonic, clinking my vermouth, warts, walls, and all. Yet drama simmers beneath calm seas. 2 weeks later, conflict crested unbidden. A package arrived at the studio Sophia's doing no return address. Inside, a canvas rolled tight depicting Cadiz Cathedral at dusk, our mural faintly visible in the foreground. A note, "Inspired by your light. Let's create again." Anastasia's face paled as she unrolled it, the colors vivid, accusatory. She must have seen the article. It's beautiful, but... I snatched the note, crumpling it. "Burn it. Now." Fury boiled, irrational and hot, the audacity of intrusion, the echo of old wounds. "Amira, wait." She touched my arm, but I jerked away, storming to the back alley where we kept the incinerator bin for failed drafts. The canvas caught quick, flames devouring the image but not the rage. "You kept the letters. Now this? What next? A key to our door." She followed, rain starting to spit from low clouds. I didn't ask for it. I blocked her everywhere, email, social, the works. This is her clinging, not me. Elena appeared then, umbrella in hand, her timing impeccable. "Hey, pyromaniacs. Inside before you drown the drama." But her eyes held worry, the survivor's instinct for fractures. That night fractured us anew. I slept on the couch, the pull-out lumpy under my unresolved storm. Anastasia knocked at dawn, coffee in hand, her hair sleep-tousled. We vowed no running. "Talk to me." I sat up, elbows on knees. "It's not just Sophia. It's the fear she'll always be the siren call, the artist who saw your fire before I did." She knelt before me, eyes level. "Sophia saw sparks. You see the blaze. And I choose you, every messy, magnificent inch." Her kiss was salt and sincerity, pulling me under. We made love in the gray light, slow and affirming, bodies a language of amends. But the real high tide came mid-October, Elena's remission party on our roof. We transformed the terrace. Lanterns strung like fireflies, tables groaning with patatas bravas and gambas el ajillo, a playlist of queer anthems thumping from speakers. Friends from the design circuit mingled with Elena's uni crowd, tattooed poets, aspiring sommeliers, laughter rising like smoke from the grill. Anastasia, radiant in a crimson dress that hugged her curves, worked the crowd with effortless charm, while I manned the bar, mixing Cuba Libres with a heavy hand. Elena, bald no more, her buzz cut dyed electric blue, pulled me aside mid-toast. "You two glow again. Don't let ghosts dim it." Her words lingered as Sophia appeared at the gate. Uninvited, ethereal in black silk, a bottle of Rioja in hand. How she'd found out we'd never know. Perhaps a mutual friend, loose-lipped over tapas. The air stilled, conversations faltering as she ascended the stairs, eyes scanning until they locked on Anastasia. "Surprise," Sophia said, voice smooth as olive oil, extending the bottle. "Heard about the milestone. Thought I'd celebrate." Anastasia froze, glass midway to her lips. Guess shifted, sensing the undercurrent. I stepped forward, heart hammering. This is private, Sophia. Leave. She arched a brow, undeterred. Anna? For old times. The name hung a gauntlet. Anastasia set her glass down, deliberate. No old times. Just now, and my future's here. She linked arms with me, facing Sophia square. Thank you for the thought, but we're good. Really? Sophia's smile faltered, then cracked, vulnerability flashing before the mask slipped back. Your loss. She placed the bottle on a table, descending the stairs with chin high, the gate clanging her exit. Applause erupted, tentative then roaring, Elena whooping loudest. Get it, Stasia. The party surged back, but in our corner, Anastasia trembled against me. I almost faltered. For a second, habit kicked in. I kissed her temple. But you didn't. That's the win. As stars pricked the velvet sky, we danced, bodies close, the city's hum below a bassline to our rhythm. Betrayal's shadow retreated. Not banished but diminished. Human, after all, means imperfect progress. Winter crept into Andalusia softly, unlike the tempests of our hearts. Mornings crisp with mist off the bay. Afternoons golden enough to fool you into shirt sleeves. The studio hummed with purpose. Vina Arcila's launch was a triumph. Their labels adorning bottles shipped to queer wine bars from Lisbon to New York. Reviews trickled in, evocative, intimate, a sip of stolen glances. And with them inquiries. A distillery in Jerez, a hostel chain in the Alpujarras. Success felt like ballast steadying our ship. Elena thrived, her art classes yielding canvases of bold strokes. Abstracts of hospital haze giving way to vibrant coastlines. She'd started dating too, Javier. A lanky sculptor with a penchant for bad puns and better empanadas. Watching her navigate it, awkward dinners at our table, Javier's earnest attempts at Tajin, filled me with a quiet pride. You're nesting us all, she teased, bumping my shoulder. Next, adopt a stray cat. Anastasia and I leaned into the domesticity, small rituals weaving security. Sunday markets for chorizo and figs, her teaching me watercolor while I showed her basic Arabic script, Habibti curling elegant on the page. Counseling continued, less dissection now, more blueprinting. Date nights at the Teatro Falla, watching flamenco troupes stomp out their own dramas, hands clasped till intermission. Yet emotions tied ebbs and flows. December brought a letter. Not from Sophia, but Anastasia's father. Postmarked Valencia, the envelope thick with formality. She opened it alone in the bedroom, emerging pale, the paper trembling in her grip. He wants to meet. Says he's proud of the studio, of Elena's recovery. Of us. Her voice cracked on the last, eyes searching mine. After disowning me at 22? Now. I pulled her close, the scent of her lavender shampoo grounding. Your call. But whatever, I'm here. The meeting was set for Christmas Eve, neutral ground. A cafe in Seville's Barrio Santa Cruz, where orange trees dripped fruit like forgotten ornaments. We drove in silence, Elena at home with Javier, promising tamales upon return. Anastasia wore her emerald dress, armor of silk, while I opted for slacks and a blouse, my curls tamed into a knot. Her father arrived punctual, silver-haired in a wool coat, eyes the same blue as hers but guarded. Senor Navarro, no hugs, just a handshake, his palm dry as parchment. Anastasia, you look well. The conversation stuttered. Weather, the studio's acclaim, Elena's grit. Then the pivot. I was wrong, he said, stirring his cafe solo. About you, about love. Your mother's passing. Clarified things. I see now what I pushed away. Anastasia's fork paused over her tortilla. Why now, Papa? After years of silence. Regrets a slow teacher. His gaze flicked to me, appraising. And you, Amira? The Moroccan firebrand, they say. I met it steady. The partner who loves your daughter fiercely. Flaws and all. A nod, grudging respect. As we parted, he pressed an envelope into her hand. Keys to the family finca outside Valencia. Inherited but long withheld. For when you're ready. Or not. Your choice. In the car, tears came, cathartic, unbidden. He saw us. Really saw. Anastasia's hand found mine over the gearshift. Thank you for standing with me. Christmas unfolded warm. Elena's tamales spiced with cumin and memory. Javier carving the jamon with theatrical flair. We exchanged gifts under a makeshift tree pine bough from the mercado strung with seashells. Anastasia gave me a locket, engraved siempre, holding a tiny photo of us three on the beach. I gave her a custom sketch. Our hands intertwined, vines of Vina Arcilla weaving through. New Year's dawned with resolutions whispered at midnight. More travels, perhaps a sabbatical in Morocco, tracing my roots. But romance's drama doesn't fade to credits. It evolves. January brought a curve. A client from the States. A nonprofit in San Francisco seeking branding for LGBTQ+ youth shelters. The pitch required travel. 2 weeks in California, Anastasia solo. Me holding the fort with Elena. Separation anxiety gnawed. Old insecurities whispering. What if the distance reopens wounds? I voiced one night, tangled in sheets. She traced my sternum, finger painting reassurances. Distance tests but doesn't define. I'll call every night. Your voice my North Star. Her flight left at dawn. A kiss lingering at the gate. The days stretched. Studio deadlines with Elena as sous chef. Her sketches adding whimsy to my precision. Nights, video calls crackled with static but brimmed with banter. Anastasia's hotel views of the Golden Gate. My updates on a stray cat Elena dubbed drama queen. Midway, conflict stirred remotely. A text from a mutual friend. Saw Sophia at a gallery opening in SF. Mentioned running into Anastasia at a networking event. Cozy chat? My blood chilled. I waited for her call, questions barbed. Sophia? In California. Anastasia's face pixelated, weary. Brief hello at the mixer. She was pitching to the same nonprofit. Awkward, but I kept it professional, 2 sentences, then excused myself. Cosisha. The words tasted bitter. Hurt flashed. Amira, no. I told her we're done, that my life's in cut is with you. Why doubt? Because patterns linger. My voice rose, Elena glancing from the kitchen, concern etching her brow. The call ended, strained, silence a chasm. She texted later. I love you. Trust the work we've done. But sleep evaded, betrayals echo a lullaby of doubt. She returned a week early, jet-lagged but determined, landing in my arms at arrivals. Missed you, she murmured into my neck. Over churros at the airport cafe, truth unfolded. Sophia had cornered her again, probing for cracks. I shut it down, told her about therapy, about us choosing each other daily. She walked away finally. Relief washed, mingled with apology. I jumped to shadows. Sorry. Forgiven. Her smile tired but true. But let's make a pact. No more ghosts. Only us. Spring bloomed defiant. Azahor perfuming the air. Easter processions thumping drums through streets. The nonprofit signed their appreciation email gushing. Your designs heal. Windows to belonging. Elena's first exhibit loomed. Her pieces a mosaic of survival. Canvases of intertwined figures against stormy seas. Resilience in every stroke. The opening night was magic. The gallery in Cuttis Old Quarter aglow, wine flowing, murmurs of awe. Anastasia and I hovered proud. Her arm around Elena's waist as collectors bid. Sophia's shadow? Absent, banished to memory. As the crowd thinned, Elena pulled us into a huddle. Couldn't have painted this without you too. My anchors. Ours was the last dance, under gallery lights mimicking stars. Regret nothing? Anastasia whispered, forehead to mine. Not a second. My hand in hers, Elena cheering from the sidelines. In Spain's eternal summer, its pains and passions, we'd crafted a tapestry. Dramatic threads of betrayal woven with romantic gold, emotional storms yielding humanistic calm. Love, raw and real, American in its bold reinvention even on foreign soil. Epilogue whispers. A year on, Elena's exhibit tours Madrid. Javier at her side. The studio expands, a satellite in Barcelona. Anastasia and I? Planning vows renewed on those Tarifa cliffs, waves as witnesses. No perfection but presence deep unyielding. And in that, every invitation accepted, every second savored.